Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, wouldn't this world be a better place if every single day, every single person said, "Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine."
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go back to that lemon light city, sweet home Chicago?
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at www.ntnm.org. All of our shows on YouTube, over 1/3 watched. Community Policing, caps24.org. The Chicago Police Foundation's Memorial Candlelight Visual was really touching, and I was happy to be able to participate this year. Jewish Chicago will be coming out for your early voting pleasure. We'll be online the Thursday beforehand. We're going to put out a record number of copies. Circulation well over 70,000. And we're going to be mailing out close to half of our copies this time around. Well, I shouldn't say half, but a lot. We're going to mail out over 10,000 copies in one particular area alone. So if you want to be included in Jewish Chicago, you better get going now, because we're going to press soon enough to get out for early voting. And with all the Jewish holidays, I got to do everything early. It is a pleasure to introduce you to a sitting commissioner of the Board of Review running for re-election, who probably explained property tax and property tax appeal to me better than anybody ever has, and finally made me understand it enough to get a lawyer and do something about it, and that's Dan Patlak.
Glad to be here, Avi. Thanks for having me on.
First of all, thank you, Dan, and I've gotten discounts for the last 2 years, and I've got them for the next 3 years coming.
Well, I'm glad you got that. You know, you never know when you're overassessed, but if you think you might be, you can always appeal to my office, the Cook County Board of Review.
No, for sure. And tell, how long have you been commissioner?
Well, I took office December of 2010, and I was reelected once since then. Now I'm up for election once again.
And your background prior?
Well, I was actually an analyst at the Cook County Board of Review for 8 years. I specialized in residential, commercial apartment building, and exempt properties. I also represented the Board of Review at over 500 property tax appeal board hearings.
Wow.
But prior to that, I was a realtor. I served 2 terms, or I was elected to 2 terms as the Wheeling Township Assessor. And I also received a designation called the Illinois Assessing Officer designation, which is one that you have to take quite a few classes to get.
Okay, so in other words, you actually, for being an elected office, you're actually skilled, which is unusual.
I am certified in being an assessing officer. That's right. You know, I wanted to mention to you, Avi, one of the things that we didn't talk about much on your last show, something I'm very proud of. And that is something we've been doing at my office since I came into office, and that is our assessment appeal seminars. We've done over 200 of them since I've taken office, and we've done them across my district, and my district is very large. It includes,
I looked at the map. It's we don't cover the whole district, but basically we do cover. He's basically got from the lake all the way to Page County and up to Lake Cook County, and then down south
down to Orland Park and Palos Park, all the way to the village of Lansing at the border of Indiana. And I've done seminars. Usually each year we do between 40 and 50 seminars to teach taxpayers how to file an appeal at the Board of Review. And we talk to them about the overall property tax system, how it works. We let them know why they should appeal. We give them some good reasons for doing that. And then we explain to them how they can figure out if they're overassessed, how they gather the evidence to prove that they're overassessed, when and where to turn the evidence in and file their appeal. And then we explain to them as well who's going to be reviewing their appeals, and what they can do in case that they're not happy with the decision we give them at the Board of Review. We've had over 11,000 people come to our seminars.
Wow.
The last few years, it's a lot. We average about 56 people per seminar. And by the way, I'm the presenter at virtually every single one of those seminars with a very few exceptions.
Well, you know, I can tell your experience because, like I said, I'm not kidding when I'm saying I actually understood. I've had other people explain the process to me. I never understood it. When you were on the show, the light bulb clicked in.
Well, you know, the last 2.5 years or so, we've been giving out surveys at the seminars because we want feedback from people. I have a lot of good oral feedback, but we wanted to hear from more people. And we do usually have a large number of people, a large percentage of people fill out the surveys. And by and large, what we find, and there are 5 or 6 questions there, but the first question is, did you find the information provided to be helpful? And approximately 75% either have said it's extremely helpful or very helpful. And virtually 95% say they're at least satisfied with the information. Very, very few people are unhappy with the seminars that we've been giving. And I'm mentioning that for a special reason.
Sure.
My opponent in the upcoming general election race has said that he's heard that the seminars really aren't very helpful, that people walk away having not learned very much. That's completely wrong. But anyways, his plan is to discontinue the seminars. And I think it's very important to educate taxpayers about the property tax system, because if they're paying property taxes without knowledge about property taxes, then they're being taxed without their knowledge, and in essence, they're being disenfranchised, and I think that's wrong.
No, I mean, yeah, this is government of the people, by the people, for the people, but there are certain parties these days that don't seem to realize that.
No, that's right. Actually, we had hearings at the Board of Review just a couple of days ago, and I'm always at the residential hearings. I check everybody in. And for some reason, one of the appellants made a comment to me. He was sort of guilty about filing an appeal. And I said, hey, you don't have to explain why you filed an appeal. It's in the Constitution. American citizens have a right to redress their grievances with the government.
Yeah.
And this is one grievance that you could have. You could think that your assessment's too high.
No, absolutely. And yeah, it's actually interesting, but yeah. No, the thing, you know, the truth is I wouldn't have known if I was high or low, because when I first started out and, you know, when I take a look, it sounds complicated, but once you get the knack of it, it's something you can actually do on your own. And by the way, if you can't do it on your own, okay, because I did appeal on my own a couple times, and I close but no cigar, but, you know, basically I found a lawyer who's experienced. I gave him, you know, all I was out was $50 if he didn't get me anything.
Right.
And usually they'll take a percentage anywhere from, you know, you're appealing usually a 3-year period if you're doing the appeal right. Mm-hmm. And depending on the lawyer, they'll take between 1/3 and 1/2 of 1 year. So, you know, the balance is yours. So, and, you know, if he earns it that way, and because you're unable to do it yourself, it still is effective. And, you know, when I had Joe Berrios on the show, he was urging people. He's saying he doesn't understand how people don't appeal.
Right. Well, we're getting more appeals than ever. As a matter of fact, when I started working at the board as an analyst back in 1999, we had 94,000 property index numbers appealed. Last year, we had a record year. It was 475,000.
I was one of them.
Well, it's, you know, the numbers have grown in leaps and bounds, but people are angry about high property taxes, and they're more aware of their rights to appeal these days than ever before. I think that's perhaps because of the seminars we've done, and also because there are attorneys who are out there who practice at the board, and that's how they make their living, and they do a lot of promotion for their businesses.
Yeah, they're very good at it too. Well, it depends. I shouldn't say the one I had was very good at it. But, you know, speaking of property taxes, I think, what was it, about 7 years ago, maybe my property tax was still a shade under $3,000. And now, after 2 successful appeals, it's still like $4,250, and it's going to soar some more.
Well, it's not unusual for property taxes to double over a 10-year period. I know I live in the village of Wheeling, and when I moved in my house in 2003, my property taxes were $4,200, and my last bill that I paid, it was a total of a little over $9,500.
Wow.
So taxes go up fast.
Yeah, the difference being that this house 7 or 8 years ago was worth $365,000, and I'd be lucky if it's worth $3 now.
Yeah, unfortunately, the value of the home is only one indicator in what you're going to pay in taxes. The biggest indicator is how much taxing districts, for instance, you live in the city of Chicago, and you have the city, the school district, the park district, all asking you for increasing amounts of money year after year.
That's exactly right, because it's not the, it's basically the guys who are running the government, Ron, that determine in Chicago what your property taxes are going to be. Mickey's hands are about there. You got a website for your campaign?
electpatlak.com. I encourage everyone to take a look and volunteer to help on our campaign or get a yard sign for your yard.
And by the way, he is being endorsed by Jewish Chicago as well as myself. He knows what he's talking about. And I urge all of you people in the northern suburbs watching this and reading Jewish Chicago to vote for him.
Thanks a lot, Avi. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Dan.
All right.
Thank you.
So long.